When you love people, people want to be around you. When you encourage people, people want to be around you. And I'm not saying you have to change your personality, but depression is not a personality. It's an experience. And it's an experience that you can go into and you can get out of. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Become Great podcast. I'm your host, Ahab Al-Hindi. Today, I don't have a co-host. It's just me. And I just wanted to talk through something I'm currently dealing with. Haven't dealt with it in a while, and it's kind of rising up. And I was like, man, this would be a great conversation to have with some of our followers. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about depression. I, for most of my life, dealt with a significant amount of depression. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a therapist, but I'm just an experienced human being who's dealt with depression numerous times in my life. And I've currently been in a season where I've been feeling that lack of motivation, that overwhelmed sensation, that pressure on my shoulders where I'm like, oh man, like it feels like the other shoe's going to drop at any minute, like something's about to go wrong. And it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. It's tougher to fall asleep. And it's stuff that I haven't really dealt with in a long time. And so I wanted to walk you through what I'm doing right now to kind of identify, hey, what is this? What's the root of this? How do I get out of it? And some of the steps I'm currently taking as a person who is in the middle of dealing with it. So the story is, I've been dealing with depression most of my adult life. I remember I would have these cycles of depression. I don't know if you relate to this. I would be depressed for 3 weeks, and then I'd get like 3 to 4 weeks of reprieve, and then it would be back to depression, back to reprieve. And I was a victim of my emotions. I wasn't like in control. I felt like the depression would come. I would surrender to it, and then it would magically vanish, and I would go through these cycles. And so I want to talk to you through, I am no longer a victim of depression. Depression is not a master in my life. I have control over my emotions. I have control over my body. And so here's some of the protocols I'm currently going through to kind of identify and get rid of it. Okay, so let's just start with the beginning. I'm asking myself a lot of questions. First question is, what am I depressed about? And that's a wonderful question. So I started going through my whole life. A lot of us, when the depression comes, we zoom into the depression. We get closer and closer and closer. You two-finger pull back, right? And you like zoom into that depression. But what we need to do is actually zoom out. Look at the whole of your life. And so right now, I'm looking at the whole of my life. I got pressure at work. I got pressure in my family. There's things coming at me from all directions. And I started to zoom out, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Oh man, I'm feeling really lonely. My wife's really busy with work. My friends are really busy with work. I'm really busy with work. And I found myself even last night, just laying in bed, I was talking to my wife, and I said, this is what I'm dealing with right now. And I started just talking through it, and she fell asleep while we were talking. And I still just sat there just processing what's happening. Where's this coming from? And I was like, oh man, I'm feeling lonely. And here's something about loneliness. Loneliness will lead you to your addictive behaviors, whatever those things are. That's not for me. That's science. I read enough things to know that that's kind of true, right? And so what I did last night is I just said, okay, what are my protocols? What are the things that I know I need to do? And so I started going, okay, it's not just loneliness. There's a lot else going on, right? But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say, it's this person that's the reason why I'm depressed, or it's that person or this situation. And I'll look for someone to blame. I'll look for an outlet for the emotion. And what I found was I had a need that I had not met. I had a need that my wife wasn't meeting, that my friends weren't meeting, that my parents weren't meeting. There was just a need in my life, and it was a connection need. And need, you don't really have a whole lot of control of what you need. You have control of what you want, right? You can control, hey, I want this car. I want this for dinner. I want this with my relationship. But when it comes to needs, you actually don't have a lot of control of what you actually need. So when you zoom out, you look at your life and go, what need is not being met right now? And I just want you, if this is something that you struggle with, and maybe you have a cycle of this happening to you, I want you to just take a moment, maybe pause the video and just go, is there a need in my life that is not getting met right now? And take the moment, allow yourself to zoom out, not zoom into the depression, not zoom into the feelings, not zoom into that emotion, but zoom out and go, where is my needs not getting met? Not your wants. Maybe it's just, I wanted to be with this person and they rejected me. That's a want. That wasn't a need, right? What need is not getting met? Maybe it's a connection need. Maybe it's a validation need. Maybe it's just some sort of like relational capacity that you didn't have and you didn't get. And so take the opportunity to ask yourself, what need isn't getting met? So that's the first thing I like to do. What need am I missing? It took me to zoom out. I looked at all the things that are going wrong and right in my life. I knew something was wrong. This was a triggering point for me. When something great happened and I could not feel the emotion that should come with something great happening. I was recently with some people that I was mentoring, and I was launching them. They had graduated from the season of being with me, and it was such a beautiful day. And I could not feel how beautiful it was. I couldn't feel the joy of accomplishment for them and for myself. And I said, man, something's missing. There was something in my heart I just knew was off. Something was missing. And so the first step is, let's just identify the need. Secondly, start asking yourself questions like, what am I avoiding? You will avoid, in depression, you'll avoid the things that you need the most. It's crazy. I don't know why we do this. I don't know why. You probably, maybe you relate, maybe you don't relate. But like, you'll get invited to that dinner party, or you'll get invited to go out with friends or go see a movie. You're like, no, thank you. And you'll avoid the thing that you need, which is more community, more connection. You know, depression, if it was a person, it would want to isolate you. It would want you to be stuck with your own thoughts, going down that negative spiral. And it wants you to be alone, and it wants you to be isolated. Let's just imagine depression's a person. It's that kind of manipulative person that wants to isolate you, control you. That's the kind of reaction you should have. Like, I don't want this toxic person in my life. I don't want depression in my life. And so allowing depression to control us by making some of our decisions for us. I have a bunch of team members who work for me, and they're like, nobody ever wants to spend time with me. Nobody likes me. They'll go down these rants, and I'll just ask them the question, like, is that true? Like, what do you mean? Well, like, has anybody invited you to go to a movies this week, or has anybody invited you to, go hang out? Yeah, well, I didn't want to do that. Well, it doesn't sound like they were rejecting you. It actually sounds like you were rejecting them. Sometimes we can even distort reality when we're alone by ourselves, creating these new narratives and these new storylines. And so ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What story am I telling? What am I missing in my life that is a need? And then I go to some practical things I can do. What can I do right now to make myself feel better? So the first thing I asked myself was, what is it that I need? The second question I asked myself is, have I changed my diet in any way in the last month? The answer was yes. The answer was yes. I started snacking. I started eating more sugar. I don't normally eat sugar. I started having ice cream with my wife at night, maybe a glass of wine every now and then. I was like, man, oh yeah. I actually changed my diet. I was like, okay. And here's something I know. If I clean up my diet, I clear up my mind. If I clean up my diet, I clear up my mind. And so I go through and I go, okay, I don't do well eating sugar. I already know that. I know it affects my emotions negatively. I shouldn't do that. At Chick-fil-A, I love the grilled chicken. I eat the grilled chicken all the time. I eat it every day, as a matter of fact. But I don't do well eating crispy chicken. And so I've been eating crispy chicken lately, right? Why? It's delicious and I deserve it because I like to eat delicious food, right? And so those are the things I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to clean up my diet so I can clear up my mind. I'm going to remove alcohol. Alcohol and me don't do well together. I'm just not a great alcohol drinker. It's just not something that my body does well with. And sometimes I'll do it and I regret it. And I'm just letting you know, it's probably something you should remove from your life, especially if you're dealing with depression. Because if you're dealing with depression and you're drinking alcohol, I promise you, you'll be in depression longer. Because what alcohol does is it numbs the pain that you need to process in order to get to your healing. If you numb the pain, you don't feel the pain. And then guess what? You don't get to actually go through the pain. We have to go through pain in order to get healed of the pain. And that's just a part of reality. That's a part of life. Like, it's something that you and we just have to do. And if we're unwilling to go through the pain, then we're very unlikely to get to the other side. Buffalo are not like cows. I have 3 buffalo. There used to be 4 on my property. And they're gorgeous. Honestly, one of the reasons why we bought this property is because there was buffalo on the property. And, cows, when a storm comes, cows will run away from the storm. I don't know if you guys know this, but cows will actually run away from the storm. And it's really interesting because if you imagine the storm is coming this way, you're also going this way, right? You get into the storm and then you're just in the storm for perpetually until you hit a fence and it passes you. Here's what buffalo do. Buffalo feel a storm coming and they run toward the storm. Well, guess what? If the storm is coming this way and you're running towards it, your time in the storm shrinks. Buffalo are incredible. And there's a great lesson there. If you and if we feel the pain and we run from the pain, we'll spend more time in the pain. But if we run towards the pain and we process the pain and we cry and we scream, yell, and we let it out, then we've experienced the pain. We've allowed it to go through its maturation process, and we can actually heal. The next thing that I love to do is I want to find out, what is the problem? What's the root? Where's it coming from? What is the need that I'm missing, right? I want to check my diet. Is there anything I've done wrong there? And then look at my physical activity. I have been dealing with a hip injury for a number of months. I've hurt my hip doing jiu-jitsu. My pelvis is like off by 1/2 inch, and it's painful. So when I walk, it hurts to walk. And so normally I would use the stair climber for cardio, or I'd walk on the property, or I'd walk on a treadmill. I would do something to get cardiovascular exercise in my life. But lately, I've been in so much pain, I haven't been able to do that. So I lift weights and I sauna, but I haven't really been able to walk. Even though I really enjoy it, I like walks with my wife, I like taking walks with the kids. So lately I haven't been able to do it, and it's been months. And so the lead up to that and the build up of that has kind of led to me not being as cardiovascularly active as I normally am, which I'm seeing in my own life. I'm like, oh man, like my body is actually craving this and I'm not being able to give it what it wants and what it needs. And so for me, I've been doing more physical therapy, working on my hip, trying to get it to be healthier so that I can start walking again, so that I can help eliminate this depression that I'm experiencing. You see, a lot of times we think that we're a victim of depression, that, it comes, it rules us for a season, it leaves, and then we don't know. When is it to come back? I don't know. It could be back any day now. It kind of has like this grip on us where even when we don't have it, we're nervous it's going to come back, right? And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to get around other people. Community, we are so designed by God to be in community. We weren't designed to be isolated. We weren't designed to be alone. You and I need one another. We need connection. We need to feel seen by people. Like here's something that's so wild. Now I'm in business, so this stuff is relevant to me. But someone will take a job with a 36% decrease in pay if at that place they feel valued and seen. Pause for a second. If you make $100, you are willing to take $64 instead of the $100 at that job, because that $64 job sees you and values you. And that $100 job doesn't see you and doesn't value you. To me, that is mind-bending that someone is willing to take that much of a pay decrease to be valued and seen. What does it say? It says that we need it. It's not a want. It is not something that we just desire. It is a need in our lives. So what do we need to do? We need to be selecting people into our lives who value us and love us and care for us. Some of you have family members and you're like, well, my family, they're my people, but I don't feel valued. I don't feel loved. Here's the thing about family. There's only one person in your family that you get to choose. Everyone else is thrust upon you. And the person you get to choose is your spouse. You don't get to choose your father. You don't get to choose your mother. You don't even get to choose your kids. They're kind of just, that's the combination of me and my wife, right? But I get to choose my spouse. And that is, I tell my kids this all the time. Outside of making a decision to have Jesus as my Lord and Savior, the next most important decision in my life is my spouse. Who is that partner in this one life that I have? Who is that partner going to be? The next important decision is, who are my people? Who are my friends? I remember I had Andrew on the podcast in one of the very first episodes, if you guys recall him. And Andrew and I, we were golfing one day, and we had a third friend. I'll call him Jackson. And Jackson and Andrew incessantly made fun of each other, just nonstop. And it's kind of guy banter and whatever, right? But it wasn't like mixed with affirmation. It wasn't mixed with encouragement. It wasn't mixed with anything uplifting. And I remember Andrew and I are golfing one day, and he's a better golfer than me. I have to admit it. And I told him, I said, hey, I really like you and I'd like to be friends with you. And he's like, man, I really like you too. I'd like to be friends. I'm like, but I see your relationship with Jackson, and I'm just telling you right now, if that's the kind of friendship you're looking for, I'm not looking for that. He's like, what do you mean? I said, there's a lot of cutting and like talking down to one another. And I just don't need that in my life. And what I'm looking for is someone that is going to add value to my life and someone that I could add value to as well. Now, that may sound like a really weird conversation between two dudes on a golf course. I'm not a normal person. Like, I want to be intentional with the people I value. I want to be intentional with the people I care for. And maybe I don't want to be a normal guy. Maybe I want to be a guy who thrives in life and thrives in his relationship. Maybe if that's not normal, then I don't want normal, if I'm being honest with you. And so Andrew and I, he said, yeah, man, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I need. Over the last 10 years, he's become one of my absolute best friends. Like, I love him. I can share anything with him. He comes to me and lets me know where he's at in life. I come to him and let him know where I'm at in life. We really have this really beautiful friendship where we add value to each other. Same thing. I had Chris Lamb on this podcast. He's the same. He just brings so much life. I was on a call with him earlier today. He ended up praying for me, just encouraging me and speaking into the season that I'm in. And that's the kind of friendships I want. So when I say get into community, I mean get into intentional community. Find people who are healthy, who add value. Find the most encouraging person you know and ask them to be a friend of yours. And then don't just receive the encouragement, give the encouragement. Because here's something I've discovered over my life. It's really hard to keep the depressed thoughts in my mind when I have encouragement on my lips. It is so hard for those two to coexist inside my mind. So I will go and I'll intentionally start encouraging people. And maybe it starts off with just, hey, man, I like your shoes, or hey, that's a great jacket, or whatever. And then it starts getting more and more personal. Hey, this is what I see. I see you as this kind of a person. You're a great encourager. You're strong. I love the way you parent. I love the way you treat your team. I love the way you do this. And let people know how much I value them. And then if you're that kind of person, finding community becomes incredibly easy. I hear it all the time. Ahab, you don't understand. It's not easy to find community. It's so hard to find people to connect with and to relate to. But here's what I do know. When you love people, people want to be around you. When you encourage people, people want to be around you. And I'm not saying you have to change your personality, but depression is not a personality. It's an experience. And it's an experience that you can go into and you can get out of. I remember I had a mentor in my life, and I was talking to him about these cycles of depression that I would go through, like 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. And it was exhausting. And I told him one day, I started feeling depressed. And it was like, I could sense it coming. And I said, hey, when I woke up, I started feeling it. He goes, what'd you do? And I said, I put my running shoes on and I went for a run. And it was mile 2 where I knew depression was gone. That was a breakthrough moment for me. And I love my mentor. His name is Steve Backlund. Steve he stands up at the table and he starts cheering. He's like, that's amazing. That's incredible. He goes, how long did it last? And I said, I went from 3-week cycles to 6-week cycles. He goes, that's incredible. You doubled it. You doubled it. That's amazing. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. Because I'm so wired into celebrating perfection that I didn't celebrate progress. I love perfection. But if I celebrated perfection, there might be one celebration a year. Maybe. On a good year. Like genuinely, in a good year, might have one thing to celebrate. But if I celebrate progress, man, I'm making progress in every area of my life. In my relationship with my kids, my relationship with my wife, with my team, with the way my business is operating, the way I'm developing people. I'm making progress always, all around me. And if I celebrate progress, not just perfection, then I'm always in a mood for celebration. I always have an opportunity for celebration. And so This is my protocol. I want to find out, hey, what is my need that I'm missing? There's something I'm missing. Have I changed my diet? Is there something that I'm putting into my body that my body's not responding well to? Is it alcohol? Is it nicotine? Is there something that I'm putting in me that my body doesn't want? How's my physical activity looking? Is there something I can do to change that? For me with my hip, I'm doing physical therapy. I'm trying to get better. I'm still lifting weights, even though in the morning it's painful. I'm intentionally choosing community, and I'm celebrating progress, not just perfection. Anyway, guys, if this was helpful at all, if you found any value in this, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, someone that may be dealing with depression right now. Just go ahead and share it with them. I feel like this adds a lot of value. And also the algorithm really loves it when you share things. So if you like this and you want more of it out there, go ahead and just press that share button, like and subscribe, and comment. We'd love to hear how these podcasts have been affecting you. And if you say you don't like it, tell us. I want to know how I can get better. I can't get better. Hyro can't get better. Dan can't get better unless we hear some constructive feedback on what we can do to make this better. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Have a blessed day.